opportunity about 2 years ago to get one because I had heard that a Tiny Telephone up in San Francisco was closing one of their studios and they had an extra plate and that it was a good plate in good condition. So I called John Vanderslice and asked him about it. And he's like, yeah, it's for sale. And I said, well, do me a favor, send me some audio of, so I can hear this thing and make sure that it sounds good and that we're not getting something that's not right. And he sent me some audio, and of course I discovered a problem on the left channel that I commented on. He's like, well, I don't think it's with the plate, it's probably with the source material. And I didn't really have a way to verify it, so he just kind of went with it. I wired him the money, and then I had to go through the long process of getting my hands on this thing, which I called several shippers. Most of the long-run shippers wouldn't touch it because the liability involved with an expensive piece of equipment that no one knew anything about. So that was a complete bust. At one point, I just decided, forget it. I'm going to drive up to San Francisco and get it myself, but we'll do it via Lake Tahoe because I had a summer trip organized anyways. Perfect idea, but of course, little did I know at the time, U-Haul won't rent trailers to people who have Ford Explorers, and my car is a Ford Explorer. As far as the plate was concerned, I had to come back to here to San Diego to figure out a different approach. And it wasn't until 2 months later where we, of course, continued into San Francisco to pick up the plate and then to get it moved into the back of this giant trailer. Got the trailer on the back of the truck and hit the road here in a few minutes. And I'll be back on our way to San Francisco. I think we're about 250 miles away, so we've still got a trek ahead of us. But the plate will be in the back of this thing pretty soon. Of course, continued into San Francisco to pick up the plate and then to get it moved into the back of this giant trailer, which subsequently apparently damaged someone's car on the way out. And I ended up not only dealing with trying to get this plate loaded out of Tiny Telephone into the back of this trailer, but trying to get the trailer out of a lot that was clearly not designed to manage a vehicle with a trailer of my size. I did manage to get back later that evening to finish driving the plate home. And then, of course, the next day when we arrived, we ended up getting the thing and we unloaded it. It took 3 or 4 guys to get it into the trailer and 3 or 4 guys to get it out of the trailer. So we've got the plate packed up. I wanted to spend a minute covering how I decided to ship it for those that were interested. So it's in this trailer and it doesn't really have wall hooks, which is a problem. I've got hooks at the bottom here, and then of course if we look outside they have little hooks that we've tied onto. But I took some foam rubber, there's a piece of board down there, thin weak board that's just kind of providing a sliding surface so we could slide the plate onto this foam. And there's at least 2 or 3 layers of foam underneath the plate. In fact, when we strapped the plate in here, it was pretty bouncy and cushy. There was no way that the foam provides any stability, but I just wanted it as an extra layer of protection in the event of shock, which we've taken quite a few shocks coming down the road. It's inevitable. As you can see, we've strapped the heck out of it. Got a strap up here, it's up against the wall, and then got some bungees, blanket wrapped it at the bottom, and then put 2 fresh tarps over it just to keep the moisture out. Since this turned into an overnight trip. And then we've got some cords here, the ratchet straps going to points outside, and then we wrap one around. And then of course through the process of unpacking the plate, cleaning it, going through the whole thing that was it, by and large John was right, the plate was cleaned. It had been tuned by somebody who seemed to know what they were doing. So I didn't really have any complaints about that, but he was wrong about one thing because he presented the plate to be electrically fine and it was recapped. However, the noise that I indicated was a problem on his initial test recordings were not source material. It was actually in the plate. There's a tube in the left output amplifier. That
left tube was noisy, and I ended up yanking it with a known good and put it in there and found out, okay, well, now we know where the problem is. I just didn't have a spare. So presently I'm waiting for spare to get the plate so that it's working and it's clean. But it does work, and it's installed in its little room. And of course, in a separate video, we'll go through sort of the layout of how this whole thing works, so you can kind of get the mechanics of it. But I will say the drama involved in getting this plate was significant. I'm thankful that I have it, although I was disappointed that it was missing some things that I kind of need, and of course there was the issue of the tube. But every time I turn it on now and listen to it in a mix, I'm blown away by how much richer it sounds than the average plugin that you find available on the market. I haven't found a plugin yet that will actually sound as rich and as nice as this.